Welcome back to Frontier Echoes, the place where the dust never truly settles and every wind-carved trail carries a story worth hearing. Tonight's tale is one whispered by old fences and remembered by a man who never believed warnings until one changed his life forever. The ranch sat alone where the grass thinned and the land sloped toward a dry arroyo, a place most folks passed by without slowing their horses. Eli Mercer liked it that way. He had built his life with calloused hands and quiet mornings, mending wire, checking water, listening to the low talk of cattle as if it were company enough. The world beyond the horizon felt loud and complicated. Out here, the rules were simple: work hard, keep your word, and don't invite trouble. That afternoon, the sky wore a strange color, a pale bruise of yellow and gray that made the air feel heavier than it should. Eli had noticed it while fixing a hinge on the corral gate. The wind was wrong too, coming in short, nervous gusts that rattled the cottonwood leaves like dry bones. He told himself it meant nothing. Weather was fickle. Land had moods. You learned not to read too much into it. He heard the horse before he saw her. Hooves struck the hardpan with urgency, not the easy lope of someone riding for pleasure. Eli straightened and squinted toward the road. A woman came into view, riding hard, her dark hair tied back, her coat flapping like a warning flag. She reined in sharply at the fence, eyes scanning the open land behind her before settling on him. "Get inside first," she said, voice tight. "Now." The words landed like a slap. Eli froze, hammer still in his hand. Folks didn't give orders on his land, especially not strangers. He took in her features then, dust-streaked face, eyes sharp as flint, a scar cutting pale across her cheek. She looked like someone who had learned the cost of hesitation. "Inside where?" he asked, trying to keep his tone even. "The house," she said. "And don't argue." A laugh almost escaped him. He had faced stampedes and rattlers and the occasional drifter with bad intentions. A warning shouted from a saddle wasn't going to send him running. He took a step toward the gate instead, curiosity edging out caution. That was when he heard it. A sound low and distant, like thunder rolling underground. His stomach tightened. The woman's gaze snapped past him again, urgency flaring. "Please," she said, and that single word carried more weight than the command before it. Eli didn't know why he listened. Maybe it was the way the land seemed to hold its breath. Maybe it was the memory of his father's voice, long gone, telling him that pride was a poor shield. He dropped the hammer and moved for the porch. The woman dismounted in one smooth motion and followed, shoving him ahead of her as if time itself were pressing at their backs. They were barely inside when the sound broke free of the ground and into the air. Hooves. Dozens, then hundreds, a wall of noise swelling toward the ranch. Eli rushed to the window, heart hammering. Over the rise came cattle, his cattle, eyes wild, foam flecking their mouths, a stampede driven by something unseen and relentless. The woman grabbed his arm and yanked him back as the first wave smashed into the fence. Wood cracked. Wire screamed. Dust filled the sky, turning afternoon into dusk. Eli felt the house shudder, felt fear claw up his spine in a way he hadn't known since he was a boy hiding from a storm under his mother's table. They waited in the roar, seconds stretching into something shapeless and endless. When the sound finally faded, it left a ringing silence behind it. Eli sank into a chair, breath coming shallow. The woman stood at the window, watching the last of the cattle disappear toward the arroyo. "You were lucky," she said softly. "Another minute and you'd have been out there." Eli swallowed. What spooked them? She hesitated, then turned. Men. That single word opened a door to a world Eli had pretended was far away. She told him about a crew running stolen cattle across the territory, pushing herds hard, using fear to move them fast. She'd crossed paths with them that morning and barely gotten away. When she saw his ranch in their path, she rode. You didn't have to, Eli said. She gave a thin smile. I did. They stepped outside together. The fence lay in ruins, posts snapped like matchsticks. The land bore the scars of panic. Eli felt anger rise, hot and unfamiliar. His life's work trampled by men who would never look back. My name's Mara, she said, offering her hand. Eli. They shook, and in that brief contact something settled between them, an understanding born of shared danger. Eli didn't ask her to leave. He didn't need to. She stayed, helped him gather what cattle had scattered nearby, moved with a confidence that came from hard miles and harder lessons. That night, as they sat at the table with coffee gone cold, Mara told him more. About growing up on the move, about losing family to men who took what they wanted and burned the rest. About learning to watch the horizon and trust her instincts, even when others didn't. I warned you, she said quietly. Most don't listen. Eli stared into his cup. I almost didn't. Sleep didn't come easy. The wind returned, whispering against the walls. Eli lay awake, replaying the day, the moment he froze, the moment he moved. He realized how narrow the line had been between the life he knew and something far worse. Morning brought more than light. Tracks appeared along the road, signs of the men Mara had spoken of. They hadn't gone far. Eli felt a choice harden in his chest. He could fix the fence, count his losses, and hope trouble passed him by. Or he could stop being a quiet place on a map and become something else. They rode out together. The land looked different when you searched it for threats, every draw and stand of mesquite a potential hiding place. They found the men by the arroyo, corralling stolen cattle, laughter carrying on the air like an insult. The confrontation was brief and sharp. Words exchanged, then gunfire. Eli moved without thinking, the lessons of survival rising to meet the moment. When it was over, the men fled, leaving blood and dust and the stolen herd behind. They drove the cattle back in silence. Eli's hands shook, not from fear now but from something like awakening. He understood what the warning had truly been. Not just to get inside a house, but to step into awareness, into responsibility. Mara stayed a few days more. They rebuilt the fence together, each post set with care. When she finally swung into the saddle, the sky was clear, the land calm again. You'll be different now, she said. Eli nodded. So will this place. She smiled, a real one this time, and rode off, leaving a line in the dust that slowly faded. Eli watched until she was gone, then turned back to the ranch. It looked the same, but he knew better. Some warnings didn't just save your life. They changed it. Out on the quiet land, Eli listened to the wind and the distant lowing of cattle, and he listened harder than he ever had before.